Instead of looking at a daily S&P chart, try looking at a 250 or 300 tick chart. You'd be amazed how much it might clean up a lot of the noise on there. Okay? Then you apply your stochastics and your exponential moving averages and your moving average convergence, divergence, and relative strength index, and so forth. My point is to look at your markets and your methods in a different light than you normally do. I can't find my slide. Where did it go? And change your perspective. It fell off? Oh, there it is. Okay. The point is to change your perspective in the way that you look at the markets. The Art of War tells us that the intelligent always consider both benefit and harm. Our job as traders is to stay in business. The way we do that is by very carefully analyzing and weighing the risk in any trade. Before you put on a trade, ask yourself one question. What is the best use of my capital? What is the most effective way I can employ it and preserve it, given this opportunity that I'm looking at? As much as you can't be careless with your capital, nor should you be too timid. As traders, we don't take chances, we take informed risk. We trade to make money, not for fun and games. Once you have identified your trade, evaluated the benefit, and quantified the exposure, when the time comes to do the trade, pull the trigger. Sun Tzu said that the wise general that does not, Sun Tzu said that the general that does not think ahead and takes his adversary lightly will end up being their captive. In other words, never underestimate your opponent or what the market can do. In this era of 24-hour global markets, we all have access to instant information. Yet it is surprising how many traders think in terms of reaction to market events rather than anticipating them. How many currency traders are there that also examine the European currency interest rate contracts on the Life Exchange in London? Because if you're trading currencies, you had better. You have to remember, with futures contracts or options, we are dealing with derivatives. They just happen to be exchange-traded derivatives. And you remember those rules that I mentioned at the beginning that every new trader at the board of Merck gets? Number 5, no wishing, no hoping, no praying, and no opinions.
Please stop the session.
The Art of War outlines 6 different types of terrain one could find themselves in. As traders, we have to have the ability to make a very pragmatic consideration of just where our market is and what kind of environment we're operating in. You have to be able to recognize what type of market conditions you're faced with, because all the analysis in the world, be it fundamental or technical, is going to go for naught if you are faced with market conditions that make execution difficult or impossible, or are so volatile you get whipsawed or stopped out too early. So stay with liquid markets, particularly if your means are limited. The alternative, of course, is to use risk-limiting devices, such as synthetic puts or calls, or take smaller than normal positions. Watch out for these light volume days with erratic price swings. They're great for being ambushed. We all know the day following a large move in any market will quite often be characterized by a gap open, and it will move even more in the same direction. It often goes right back to where it was. Watch out for the fade in this scenario. And after a sustained price move, your market may go through one of these flat, choppy periods. Watch out. You remember the example of the Deutschmarks we talked about? Be careful. Avoid these narrow, choppy, range-bound markets. Okay? Sun Tzu advised us not to fight in a river. That's the river. Okay? If you wait for a breakout in either direction, the probability of winning increases dramatically. It won't matter what the oscillators say, because those that were wrong and took positions based on an opinion will be wrong, and they're going to have to cover. Okay? Any day's trading volume is a standard bell curve. Okay? Your best liquidity is in the mid-range of that day. Okay? And Market Profile and Liquidity Data Bank are excellent technical analysis tools to help you identify where that is. Now, once you have decided to get into a market, execute the trade. Be among the first to put that trade on. Let other traders chase the market. And when the panic sets in, offer them higher, bid them lower, and then use other traders' volume to get out. Let other traders' volumes, let them liquidate. That's when you liquidate your trade, so that there's somebody on the other side to take it. Okay? Sun Tzu also outlines 6 faults of generals that lead to defeat. You are your own best and only general. Okay? How you manage yourself and your resources plays a pivotal role in your success in this business. You can't lay fault anywhere but at your own feet. You have to choose your engagements wisely. Overtrading or taking positions that are too large for your account equity is going to lead you what's called trading scared. Okay? You'll be operating from a position of weakness, not strength, and you'll end up getting stopped out and defeated easily. Okay? Don't let greed get the better of good market judgment. Don't let greed get the better of good market judgment. Don't be so cerebral that you're ineffective. Some traders have a tendency to overanalyze. Remember, the market is never wrong, and the final truth is the last sale. In fact, I'd recommend that you get Eddie Toppel's book on Zen in the markets. Don't be tempted into desperation trades. They are inevitably losers. You have to be constantly vigilant of your trading plan, your money, and your risk management. Failure to maintain discipline will lead to chaos. Remember those new rules for traders? The last one, discipline, discipline, discipline. Okay? Know your market, learn everything you can about it, but know yourself, your intellect, your psychological qualities, and maintain your discipline and your focus. Okay? Now, the art of war teaches us about circumstances that we can and do find ourselves in. Okay? Part of our survival tactics is recognizing what kind of market environment we're operating in, and then deciding if it is to our advantage to get involved or not. Most of you, I suspect, are not locals or are not making a market for a dealer. Okay? There is nothing wrong with standing aside if you deem that the best course of action. Okay? The day or two prior to an economic report, what kind of action do you see? You see periods of quiet followed by flurries of activity, and then it's quiet again, and so on and so forth. What's going on here? Professionals are getting ready for either eventuality. Amateurs are taking positions based on opinions. Which would you rather do? Okay? We all see markets, particularly late in the day, with this huge volume and extremely volatile price swings. Quite often it's major players with opposing views. They tend to be risky business for small accounts. Getting involved is your business, of course, but please be aware. Okay? And there are any number of examples that I could use, and you know what they are as well as I do. The point I'm trying to make is go into battle only when it is to your advantage to do so. Trading is about probabilities, not opinions. Okay? Being prepared for markets that could go in either direction. Okay? Remember our rules? Rule number 2, You trade to make money, not for fun and games. Sun Tzu was asked what he did when he was faced with a well-organized opponent ready to attack. And he said, simple, take something they hold dear. It is well known among professional traders that weak hands will give up easily if prices move above or below the previous day's or week's high or low. Guessing where the stops are, right? It's called stop running. Make sure you are cognitive of where those stops are likely to be. Don't let them take something that you hold dear. In fact, why don't you take something they hold dear? There's no reason you can't participate in this. Okay? The essence of war is rapidity. Make sure that when you see an opportunity, you take advantage of it. Don't hesitate. Okay? Don't overanalyze. Don't second guess. Execute the trade. And once you have established that winning trade, add to it. Remember, professionals average up, amateurs average down. Now you can take advantage of weak traders. This is when you go for the throat. You can go after the stops and force other traders to capitulate. And after the market moves your way, at some point it's going to meet support or resistance. Try to know where that point is ahead of time. Your plan should have included an exit strategy. And start getting out ahead of time so that there's someone else on the other side to take your liquidating trade. Don't overstay a market. I've mentioned on several occasions, to be successful, you have to be adaptable, flexible, expect the unexpected, and have a plan in place to deal with it. Anticipate market reaction to that event, and if that unexpected event happens, execute the plan without hesitation. Do not mastermind the market. I used to work with a young man that was a recent graduate of the University of Chicago Business School. He was a very bright guy. And at one point, let's say he had lost $1. The boss said, no problem. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. Close out the trades. We'll just go on from here. It's not a big deal. Well, he decided that he was smarter than anybody else and he was going to mastermind the market. And when he had lost $5, he was history. Okay? The Art of War tells us about a mythical snake called the Shazhuan snake. That if you strike at its head, it will get you with its tail. If you strike at its tail, it will get you with its head. If you strike at the middle, it'll get you with both. You have to be like the Shazhuan snake, adaptable, flexible, and versatile. Between the cash markets, futures, options on futures, options on cash, the possibilities are almost endless. The Art of War tells us that the general should be quiet and secret and keep his soldiers unaware